So I got a Orange Boxx Fabrication rack unit for the back of my FJ Cruiser, which I love the look of. Aesthetically, it's great. There's plenty of storage space back behind here in the lower portion. This is called a Overmax, which goes over the Max box. So plenty of space. The thing that I had trouble with is I don't have a lot of experience with MOLLE accessories, MOLLE bags and pouches and things like that. So in my uneducated brain, I thought that I'd be able to just buy some things off of Amazon and strap them to it and everything would be fine. The thing that I found was you have to use a system of straps that just took away from the look of the overall Orange Boxx. So I set out to try to take some of the accessories I bought from Amazon and to come up with a way where I could very cleanly and tightly attach them to this Orange Boxx unit. So I want to show you what I did. So to start with, I really just wanted to hook up some simple things to the rack. I had an extension cord, my tire deflators, a Allen wrench multi-purpose tool, a foldable box knife, a tire pressure gauge, and a bungee cord, and my trusty Bowie tactical knife. The problem that I had was, as I said earlier, with the straps and the different things that you can buy to attach these things, everything was loose. It banged up against the rack. I just knew that on a back trail where I was 4x4ing over rocky terrain, that those things would just rattle and clink around back there and ultimately irritate me. I wanted to have something that would tightly hold these things against the rack. So I took to Amazon to try to find some tools that might be able to do the job. And the first thing I came across were this bag of assorted clips that were sort of a fastener clip system, a carabiner type clip, and one of these guys that has a parachute cord wrapped around it to be able to tighten up against it. The issue that I had is these didn't necessarily attach easily to, or at all, to the Orange Boxx rack system. So I started looking for other things that might be able to attach, and I came across a 3-inch pipe clamp. I came across these guys. They're called quick fist grippers, a larger one and a smaller one. And these did a really good job of holding the accessories that I wanted to pull in, but there was still not a easy or clear way to get these hooked up to the Orange Boxx. So that's when I decided that I was going to come up with something that I was going to engineer myself, and I was going to print on my 3D printer and give that a try, and I'll show you what that looks like. So my solution was to look for a way that I could attach items directly and tightly into this panel unit. So I took some calipers and various different measurements, and through trial and error came up with a sort of base platform that I was able to build out using my 3D printer. The end result of all the measuring and trial and error was to create a piece that matched the overall size, the radius, and the depth of the Orange Boxx area, and snapped into the back, while also having this piece that goes and essentially snaps in, allowing you to then run a screw through it. And then based on whatever you're putting on here, you would have different size pieces that would ultimately show up and screw in. The way it works is I have a standard insert that goes into the clip hole. Fits in there pretty tightly. I super glue a threaded bolt into the back so that I can come along with various different types of front pieces that also clip in with some pretty good tolerance here. They clip in pretty tightly, and you take a number 8 screw, machine screw, you run it into that bolt, and ultimately you're very, very tight in there. So with that being the base, I then set out to take a look at the different things that I was building and came up with different front plates, if you will, to be able to satisfy the different things I found that might attach to this. The first thing I'm going to install is going to be the tire deflators. I'm not going to necessarily install these exactly like I would for my final use. I'm just going to install these to give you a sense of how the whole space can be used. So I'm going to put my tire deflators starting down here, and I'll install other tools across as we go. First thing I'll do is I'll reach back here and I'll pop in the face piece. I'll then take the front piece and just clip it in there. I'll take my grip and I will thread it through. Now that this is on here nice and tight, there's a little bit of give for the grip because it's attached in the center and not the tops and the bottoms, but this is perfectly on here. Take my tire deflators, just pop them in there, run this strap back over the rubber top, and there we go. The next thing we'll install is the tire pressure gauge. We're going to use the large grip for this. We'll pick this spot right above it. We'll take the faceplate, put it on, and I've made these with enough tolerance where they just kind of snap in and they hold in place. They're not going to fall out, but we use the screw to cinch them all down and attach the pieces. This piece actually has an orientation where it can go horizontal or vertically. This particular application I'm going to do is vertically, but I've made the backing piece big enough so that it essentially covers up the entire hole, and it looks good either way, whether it's horizontal or vertical. Get this tightened down nice and good. Take my tire pressure gauge, fit it into there, push that around it. Make sure I'm in there good, nice and tight. That's not going anywhere. Now the biggest and most difficult thing to attach to this for me was coming up with a way to attach my knife. Now, I don't necessarily need my knife to have like quick access to it, but I wanted the access to be easy, and I decided because of that to go with a 3-inch pipe clamp that I found on Amazon, and I made a base that essentially allows me to run the bolt of that all the way through, and then I can tighten it down with the provided wing nut. It's got a lock washer and a regular washer, lock nut and a washer. Let's go ahead and put that right here. As I said earlier, I don't need super fast access to this, but I do want it to be easy to get to. So I put it right in here, clamp this down, and I can. The next item I'm going to install is this multi-tool Allen wrench, and I'm going to use one of the MOLLE pieces that I bought in the kit off of Amazon. The only modification I'm making is I drilled a hole in there to be able to put a machine screw through, and when I made the plate for this to go into, or the snap-in for this to go into, I actually made it a little bit thicker so I can get some clearance to be able to get to this paracord pretty easily. Take that, pop that in here, front on. Got it nice and tight on there. Then I can take the tool, strap it through like this. This actually has some notches on there where I can get in there really tight, and it's good to go. The next item is going to be the foldable box knife. Now I wanted to use this with the pouch. I don't use it that often when I'm out off-roading or out and about, but I wanted to use this pouch just to test the fastening mechanism that I got in that same kit that I bought the other MOLLE stuff on Amazon. And it's just a simple clip, like a belt clip that goes on here that will go right through the back of the pouch. We can put that one right here. From there, all I do is I take the clamp or the buckle, go through the strap on the back of the pouch, and there we go. Now the last item I'm going to do is also part of that set I bought off of Amazon for the MOLLE clips, and this was a carabiner type clip that I've designed the bracket to essentially you take it apart to put it in so you can get it in nice and snug and then clip the bottom on. Now I might have over-engineered this because I'm not a product designer by trade, but I am using a bungee cord as an example in this, but there's any number of things you can hang off of a carabiner. Go ahead and put that right here. This in here. And run my screw. I put a screw hole through the center of this so it would be easier to mount. I wanted this clip to go in nice and tight, so I made this as really a three-part. There's the back part of the base, there's the front that screws in and applies the pressure against the grill, but there's also a backing piece that allows you to, once you put the clip in and get it in position, you're able to add this little T-piece back here that keeps it nice and tight. As I said, it might be over-engineered. There might be 1,000 better ways to do it, but I'm not an engineer by trade. I'll take the bottom clip. And then take my bungee cord or whatever I'm choosing to stick through this and clamp it down. There you go. So all in all, I've got a good selection of bases and platforms that I can attach a great variety of things to. There are fire extinguisher holders, there's flashlight holders, there's a variety of things I could have bought, but most of the tools that I find myself using when I'm off-road that I want quick access to are the ones that I have here. I've got a few others that I'll add to this. Up on this back rack, this max rack back here, I've got some gloves up here, and I've got a flashlight that's magnet and hooked through the top of the grill. So this was my solution to what I found to be a little bit of a shortcoming of the Orange Boxx Fabrication accessories that you can put on there. I searched high and low and tried to find things that were readily available, that weren't strap based, where I was going to have to thread through a bunch of straps and then figure out a way to attach to them. I wanted something a little bit more elegant than that, and whether I achieve that or not is, I guess, entirely up to eye of the beholder. But I kind of like the ability to have things in here in discrete locations, very accessible and tightly put against this rack so they don't rattle when I drive.